Story time about how my brother caught me making out with his girlfriend. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Growing up, I didn't have a really good relationship with my parents or with my brother. The only person that I did get along with was my sister. You see, we're kind of a religious family. When I was 15, I knew that I liked girls, but there was no way that I would tell my parents that I did. They would never accept that their daughter liked other girls. I basically suppressed all of those feelings for about 5 years. When I turned 20, I decided to come out to my sister. My sister was super open, accepting, and she was really loving about it. She never once made me feel bad. I asked her what she thought about me telling the rest of the family, and she said definitely not. She knew that our parents would freak. I finally got my first girlfriend a year after that. I actually met her on my 21st birthday. At this point, I still live with my parents, so I basically said that she was a best friend of mine. My parents, of course, believed me because they had no other reason not to. She would come over to my house, and we would just spend time together there. She eventually got really upset that I would never tell my parents about us, and she decided to break up with me because of it. Of course, I was brokenhearted about it, but 3 weeks later, I met my brother's now girlfriend. Right off the bat, we got along really well. Like I said before, I never had a really good relationship with my brother. He suspected that I liked girls, but he never came out and told me. But because of this, there was always tension between us. Also, I never understood why his girlfriend liked him because he has no personality and zero sense of humor, which is honestly why I think her and I got along so well. Anytime she came over to our house, I would just find her so funny. My brother had to go out of town for work, so she invited me to go out with her friends for lunch. Of course, I quickly accepted. I honestly didn't realize it at the time, but I was definitely developing a crush on her. She was my kind of girl. I mean, I guess my brother and I have the same type. She was funny and incredibly smart. After that lunch, she asked me if I wanted to hang out another 2 times when my brother was away. Everything was going pretty well, but after the 3rd time that we hung out, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I knew this was going to be a really big problem for me. I'm the kind of person that's always honest with people as much as I can. When my brother finally came back, she started coming over to the house more. I was both excited but worried at the same time because I knew that I had feelings for her. One day she came over, but there was nobody home. That's when I decided to be honest with her and tell her the truth. I opened up to her and told her my history and that I had a crush on her. She smiled and told me that it was okay. That's when she grabbed my hand and we started kissing. Trust me, I know that it's totally wrong because she's my brother's girlfriend, but I was falling in love with her. That's when my brother comes in and sees us making out. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how my brother caught me making out with his girlfriend. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. That's when my brother comes in and catches me making out with his girlfriend. He instantly went berserk and started punching a hole through a wall. His girlfriend tried to calm him down, but he told her that if she touched him, he would probably end up hitting her. Luckily, no one else in the house was home, but my brother threatened to tell my parents. Like I said in part 1, my parents are very religious, and I knew that they would never accept me as I am. That's when my brother said that he had already been suspecting of me and his girlfriend because her and I had been hanging out so much. He then started calling me a bunch of names like freak and other really inappropriate things. Then the fight became about him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend started telling him that she had been miserable the whole time that she was with him and that he had been manipulating her the whole time. She told him he was even toxic, which I can believe because my brother's kind of like that. She then left the house and told him that she never wanted to see him again. My brother started asking me a bunch of questions like how long I had been seeing her. I told him that this was the first time her and I had ever kissed. Then he told me that I needed a man to teach me how to be a woman. So instead of staying and arguing with him, I decided to leave. I decided to go ahead and tell my parents the truth before my brother did. I was absolutely petrified. I told my parents that I like girls, and I told them what had happened with my brother's girlfriend. That's when my dad told me that they weren't upset that I like girls, and that they would have accepted me either way. But they were really upset that I had hurt my brother's feelings, and that I caused them to break up. They were surprisingly okay with what I had told them. I mean, after years of being petrified of them knowing the truth, I felt so free. But I also told them that my brother had been toxic towards her and that's why she didn't want to be with him anymore. My parents actually ended up being more angry with my brother than with me. But you'll never guess, a few months later my brother told my parents that he's bi. I haven't contacted my brother's ex, but I really feel like I should. I mean, I was falling in love with her. What do you guys think I should do? P.S. My brother's much happier.
So my girlfriend cut holes in our protection. Well, my ex-girlfriend. This happened, we were on complicated terms. We weren't together, but you know, we were still, doing it. First off, let me inform you that my ex was batshit crazy. When we weren't together, she would literally drive by my house to see if my car was home. Yeah, it was wild. So I ended up breaking up with the girl because I didn't like the way that she treated me. But we agreed to keep it a friends with benefits type of thing. My girl was never on the pill or anything, so that meant that we had to wear protection. And since we weren't together anymore, I definitely wasn't taking the risk. So I continued to wear it. One day while we were in my room doing it, the unthinkable happened. I was ready to, and pull out. She didn't let me. She literally held me in with her legs. And at this point it was too late to stop myself, so it happened. After I did that, she let me out. At the time, I didn't notice that anything was wrong with the protection. I didn't even realize that there wasn't any of my, in it. That was until she called me a few months later to tell me she was pregnant. Part 2 gets so crazy, so like and share. You can watch it now by downloading the link in my bio. But my ex-girlfriend wasn't letting me pull out. She literally held me in with her legs. And at this point, I couldn't stop myself, so I just did it. And after she finally let me out, I didn't notice that there wasn't any of my, in there, and I also didn't know that there was a hole in the protection. But my ex-girlfriend called me up a few months later to tell me that she was pregnant. With my kid. And I was freaking out. I was confused at how that could even be possible, and that's when she told me that she cut a hole in the protection to baby trap me so I wouldn't be able to leave her. I told you she was batshit crazy. After figuring out that she was going to have my kid, I couldn't bring myself to leave. Not a bad person. If it was mine, I'd want to be in its life. But here's where it gets even crazier. I met up with the girl for one of her doctor appointments about the baby. They ran a test, and this is where I found out that the baby actually wasn't mine. So either while we were dating or the few weeks that we were broken up, she had slept with someone else and got pregnant by someone else. But I didn't love the girl anymore anyways, so I figured I dodged a bullet. I left and we never talked again. That was fan submitted.